It is that time, it's 6:30 p.m. here on Tuesday, July 22nd. I call this meeting, the Howell Township Planning Commission to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Williams,
Present.
Spalding,
Present.
Newstead,
Here.
Bowl,
Present.
Francescos,
Most definitely here.
Stanley, Lolio.
Here.
Thank you. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item is approval of tonight's agenda. I didn't see anything that needs to be corrected here. Do we have a motion for approval?
Mr. Chair,
Sure.
if we could make a small modification to number 12 and switch 12A and 12B.
That seems logical.
I'll support with that change. Or you would, I'll support this with it.
Motion from Mr. Cole. Excuse me. Second from Robert, Mr. Spalding, and, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, the minutes from the last meeting. Any suggested edits or updates? Seems accurate to my eyes.
I'll move approval.
Would you, Robert? Yep.
Support Bull.
Motion from Mr. Spalding, support from Mr. Paul. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, takes us to our initial call to the vote. Should anyone have any, comments or discussion points pertaining to this agenda or others, you're welcome to speak your piece. Hearing none. We'll move on to the CBA report. We did not have a meeting. It's been a while since we've had anything to do that. But, that's not a bad thing, I suppose. Well, that means, everything is moving along smooth, right? And there's no one having to come in and get a variance for something, so that's good. Yeah. Okay, next up, our township board report.
So the minutes are in front of you. It was quite a long meeting that we had. Some things that apply to the planning commission here. We discussed renovating the township hall here. That's moving along. We accepted an architect's bid. We also tabled a discussion of a community center, which is going to be slated to be over on Thule Road on that property. Our NSC zoning district, the text amendments went through. They were both approved, or they were approved. The cemetery is going to be digitized. So,
Online reference of the residents, so to speak?
it's gonna be all online. So what they'll do is they'll do an overlay of it. And that way residents will be able to go online and see where the plots are. And then there's
I've seen that on other sites.
so apparently, yeah, they're gonna catch ours up.
Okay.
So, let's see. Wrangler Saloon came back up for an REU reduction request. We've seen that one a long time ago. They presented some pretty reasonable reasons for reduction, and that was approved. And then there was discussion for a letter of intent to purchase at Mar Road in Oak Grove. And that's a 73.5 acre parcel. And the interesting which is, it's important to us, and I think we should probably understand it, and hopefully Jonathan can keep me in the guidelines of what I'm trying to explain, but they wanted to purchase under what's called a tax increment financing, which is called a TIF. And there's basically, I want to say there was 3 players. There was a developer, and they were talking originally, just taking a figure of 250 houses. And then there was a gentleman from the state, and then there was some people from Community Catalyst for, I don't want to say low-income housing, but making affordable housing. So what they were proposing was the taxes for, once that development was done, those taxes would be paid to an authority from the residents from that parcel, and then that authority would reimburse the developer for his infrastructure that he put in to develop. Is that pretty accurate? It doesn't, so it's, I didn't see a lot of advantage to the township, although there is some advantages to the TIF that we need to learn some more about. But we're talking to the tune of like $7 million, and the payback period could take 10 to 20 years.
So a builder can eat that cost until he's reimbursed them, or
Generally, they would have to put it in there anyway, right? So basically, the taxes, or the authority that these taxes went to, would reimburse the builder for his initial expense.
once the phases were completed, or is it, I mean, so it's 250 homes, I'm assuming it's done in phases, or?
They didn't get that far. This was just a general outline of it, except they did get that there was gonna be, I think 22, 900 square foot type homes. And those would be the more affordable ones, and I think there was additional 8 that did something else. They were attainable. I think it was $90,000 and less at this point.
The advantage of the,
Well, we discussed it as a board, and I think there was some discussion, maybe doing something like that for the 22 homes, but not for the entire development. But there's gonna be further discussion on it. But it is an interesting type of concept. And then we discussed the park master plan proposal, and Carlisle Wortman was awarded to prepare a park master plan. So, any questions?
so the Wrangler Saloon REU reduction, that, so I'm assuming now they're gonna move forward with tearing down the old, or what's their?
We didn't get any updates as far as the construction phase. They were just assigned so many RUs, and they wanted a reduction in that, so that's what was
I
approved.
know there's been some comment, questions from the community about,
Absolutely.
when's that roof gonna fall? You know, any day now, bets, people are taking bets as to when it's gonna fall, in.
I don't know, Jonathan, have you heard anything as a zoning administrator? Has anything been moving forward, or?
So we were contacted by the newspaper probably last week and then early this week. And what's in the newspaper on behalf of the people that own Wranglers is the most we've heard. So they claim that, I wrote letters, we went through all of our projects, wrote letters to all the developers that their permits were getting close to expiring, or their approvals from the planning commission, to let them know kind of what they needed to do. And we haven't heard from any of them, except in the article. Apparently they contacted the owners, and they indicated that they'll probably be looking for an extension of their approval for their final site plan, but they may start construction in the fall. I think that's pretty close to a quote from the paper.
Good.
Next up, our ordinance violation board. Anything, new or of concern, Ms. Jonathan?
New, I don't remember if there's anything new since last time. No, not really. Not on my side anyway.
Somewhat related to that, Jonathan, do you know if we've had any applicants for the code enforcement?
To my
officer?
knowledge, we've had none.
None. And that runs until August 31st?
I believe that's true.
Okay.
So I was wondering about that. Were you finished?
Sure.
I just had a question about, I would assume that the applicant for that position, we would probably prefer it to be somebody that lives outside the township. And the reason I say that is because I think it might, if somebody is representing the township, as a code enforcement officer, I think you could get into some questionable judgment calls and things like that. If it's somebody that lives in the community that's maybe enforcing something with a neighbor or enforcing something with, you know what I mean? I'm just wondering how that process is gonna work. And, when I first saw that was being looked at as an external, I thought, to me, it would make sense to have somebody that was, maybe that lived outside the township, but I don't know how that works.
I mean, right now, we're taking anybody just, and then we'll interview them and see where it goes. So I can't guarantee that they would be. I don't disagree that it's a good idea.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the assessor and the supervisor. Those are the homes that are looked at the most when people get their assessments. They go look up where the supervisor lives and where the assessor lives and make sure that
Sure.
things are in line. So yeah, I think it'd be the same sort of thing.
Right.
On the flip side of that, though, is someone from the township may have a more vested interest,
That's true. And I
because
thought
they
about
actually
that.
do live here,
I
so.
thought about that, but I just feel like.
It goes, but I understand your point too, it goes both ways.
With a lot of the contention that's been going on.
Absolutely.
In recent years, I just kind of feel like, something like that is maybe worth looking into, somebody outside the township.
I can
But
see the benefit of that, someone there's no bias.
Right,
You
exactly.
know, that's coming in
my
and,
point, yeah.
looking over the complaints and
Right.
going accordingly, there's no,
It's cut and dry and.
no preference of whether it's on my street or next to a friend of mine's house.
Yeah.
You know,
That kind of cuts out that ambiguity. They're doing a job and, you know, there's no personal ties. But again, I can also see your point too, Tim. Somebody that has a vested interest in the township.
Right,
You know, so, yeah, I can see it both ways.
as long as they hit a clean yard.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go down that road. Thank you for that, Jonathan. Next up is a public hearing for portable storage container and cargo container ordinance. Do we have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved, Bull.
Support?
Okay, we have a motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing is open. Want to talk about portable storage containers and cargo containers? Okay, we have a motion to close the public hearing.
Mr. Chair, I make
Sir.
a motion to close the public hearing.
Support.
Motion, Mr. Newsted. Second from Mr. Francescos. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Other matters to be reviewed by the commission, which we have done. We should move on to.
You have to do some act on that,
Okay.
Chairman, on the storage containers and cargo containers.
Okay, something to add as well?
No, we have a public hearing, but we need to pass some action on it.
Sure, do have ordinance amendments. Thank you, sir. I'm gonna skip right over that. Grayson, care to summarize our ordinance? Updates, changes, improvements?
It's back before us again, and this time we're really just focusing on the accessory structures that are 200 square feet or less. So in keeping with the spirit of the ordinance that was prior to the initial revision that we did with the storage containers. The accessory structures which are not otherwise regulated by building code and are not on a structural foundation are now required to get a zoning permit and be set back a minimum of 3 feet from all property lines and 5 feet from a principal building. And this is a pretty standard practice.
Any questions or concerns with the updated ordinance passed?
Mr. Chair, I did have some for Grayson for clarification. On page 5, number 4, and that refers to permitted accessory uses in the industrial flex zone. Number 4 says cargo containers being used to store or ship goods or building materials associated with a storage or shipping facility shall not be subject to limitations on the number of containers permitted. Just as a clarification from that, is that, what are we talking? Are we talking like a shipping company?
Yeah, that would be the
Or would it
intended
be
use.
a storage lot?
No, it was intended to be a shipping company of size, and I believe
Because it does say storage, and I was wondering if there wasn't room for additional interpretation in there.
I want to say that we added language elsewhere to clarify specifically because we did have Jewett storage in here,
Right.
which is what ignited it.
And the building materials caught my eye too, right?
Yeah.
Because you have contractors, so. And it's also used for the industrial district, the same,
Yes.
which I understand if it's like a shipping company but I didn't know what the definition of faculty was gonna be, or facility, I should say.
We could remove associated with a storage and just say with a shipping facility, if that would.
I don't know, I mean, does,
I can see what you're saying.
yeah, I see wiggle room in there.
Is the Jewett property addressed with, by 3, is that the, because 3 doesn't have, the no limitations on the number.
You mean number 3 in the same one?
Yeah, the same one.
So it does, because there is no principal building on that particular lot too.
But it doesn't say unlimited, and it was my understanding we weren't gonna put a limit on Jewett, as long as there was consistency, because that could fluctuate.
I think that's covered in number 1.
Okay,
So,
okay.
so basically it's gonna be up to the planning commission to make that determination, depending on the circumstance.
And Grayson, also, on page 6, talks about screening, there was mention of screening. What's our fence height restriction? Is it 6 feet? Or, I'm just wondering if,
I believe that it's 6 feet from the fencing section of the ordinance is, the max is 6 feet there.
so it wouldn't probably completely fence shipping, or completely screen shipping
How many calls does that have to be tall?
on that. I think I'm okay with that, but I think it's appropriate, it's saying appropriately screened.
So we had that discussion before on how do you screen that high, right? So,
You can't, I mean, you could have a 6-foot fence and the shipping container to be, the elevation of the ground could be 4 or 5 feet high
Sure.
where you have it, so, okay.
Rob, the screening, the fencing was discussed. You mentioned just being a chain link fence. That's why I was questioning about, well, then if you're gonna do that, then they should all be painted to look uniform, to make it look at least presentable.
And you have that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but that was one of the reasons when I realized the fencing wasn't going to be screened like I intentionally thought it was going to be, so.
But it only says if there's more than 5. And I noticed there was a difference between there was 3 in, I think, the industrial and 5 in the industrial flex, or is this,
I
Yeah.
thought those ones were this.
was that intentionally? Because B on page 6 says 3 or more cargo containers. And then 2 on page 5 says 5.
No, that's supposed to be 5.
So they're both supposed to be 5?
Yeah, when we discussed it, the term that came out of it was gonna be 5 either way, so the language was supposed to change for both of them.
And also, Grayson, on page 7, and we're talking, this is 1407, and these are the provisions.
Yep.
That always get referred to. But it says, on the first paragraph, it said, construction will not be built on a structural foundation as required in the construction code for other type of buildings. And then it says, shall be excluded from the requirements of this ordinance except for the following. And then you list 1, 2, and 3, and it covers your setbacks. Is that the only 3?
Yes, and that's simply before we had made the modification. That's what the requirements basically were.
So that's the only thing that they would have to,
Yes.
those 3 items?
Yes, so
So
that's.
could they
for
put one
like-
in the front yard again?
Technically, yes. at
Because
this
number
point.
B says detached accessory building and structure shall be located entirely in the rear yard, whether they were 200 feet or not.
Yeah, and I just was copying it similar to the language prior.
Is that something that we want?
Where is this at, Tim? I think I'm close.
So on page 7, and it talks about for structures 200 feet and less, right? And it won't cover storage containers because that's, or cargo containers because that's a different subject. But we're talking about any type of shed, or I would imagine like a Harbor Freight or those canvas enclosures that they have. Those could all fall under 200 feet, depending on the size. But the way this is written, technically you could put it in your front yard right out by the road, or, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
Like, you're talking about a Harbor Freight, you know, 'cause you see those, I mean.
They look
not
okay when they're
permanent.
new, but-
They're not permanent. It's not a permanent structure. They stay up for a couple of years and they start to
Yeah.
deteriorate, and then there's a hole in them, and all of a sudden the covers.
And then they got blue
So,
tarps over
yeah.
them, and
People are trying to save them. Yeah.
so I just don't know if,
I don't know if I wanna see that in front yards.
so I don't know if we need to include something maybe to have that in a side or rear yard. That's why I was kind of asking for a clarification. I thought B might have been included in that.
And it can be, if you would prefer.
Well, then you get into a bunch of,
That's where the issue arose with the HOA.
right,
But it could be as simple as adding a norm before that says that it must be located in the side or rear yard.
Well, I think the intent with this was also to reduce, that's what we get at the zoning board of appeals, is almost 100% of my house is built at the back of a cliff,
sure.
and I can only put it in front of the side. That said, we don't have dozens of people every month. I don't have a feel either, but I don't really think it's that burdensome on many of our residents. There's really not that many people that want to put a pole barn in my yard.
So this is for things under 200 feet, though.
I do have
Having- 200 square feet.
I do have a question. What is the language that is preventing this from applying to the cargo containers for this
So-
specific section?
If you go to number 7 on page 9, cargo containers shall not be permitted in the front yard.
What I'm saying is,
Okay.
we're talking about the bottom of page 6 and the top of page 7.
Yes.
So that if it's under 200 square feet, if I had a cargo container that was under 200 square feet, why would this not apply?
So I think that we actually could do the differentiation there because it's specifically defined.
The cargo
Yeah,
containers
in
are?
ordinance now, so that would get changed into that classification.
Okay.
Because you're right, we did line out additional standards for cargo containers, which is on page 8.
It's just that cargo containers are labeled in other places as accessory structures. And so I don't know if it needs to be done, maybe that's clear enough, what, as Grayson pointed out, that, listen, cargo containers have their own thing, but this section at the bottom of page 6 starts as a residential accessory building or structure having 200 square feet or less.
Some of those pods,
And
moving pods, things like that, those are under 200 square feet.
yes, and those would end up falling under temporary
Yeah.
accessory structures, so they would be
Right,
regulated
so
a bit different.
That
Yeah.
doesn't apply to this. Yeah. Unless somebody
Bought one.
purchased
Bought one.
used
Bought one.
it
Yeah.
as a
Yeah,
permanent.
I think that could still be regulated, depending on what the situation was, because of the intent for those. And that's how I think it would have to
I
come
think
back
we
to the
set
intent.
limits on those too, didn't we? Didn't we
Yeah.
say that you could have it for a certain amount of time?
Right.
Was it, what was it? I don't remember what my language was, I remember us talking about.
You had to get a permit, it was good for so
6 months or-
long, or say, yeah,
Something like that.
yeah,
And there was an extension allowed if you needed it.
yeah.
But those are actually not called cargo containers, they're called
Portable storage containers.
portable storage containers. So do you see a way to put that in there so they wouldn't be in the front yard?
Yeah, I can definitely add a number
I mean,
4.
does everyone think that's,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
and does that cover the cargo container question that you had, Jonathan?
I mean, Grayson might be right in that because we specifically call out additional provisions, I just was thinking that as I read this, I couldn't guarantee that it doesn't apply. I don't even know if you can get a cargo container that's 200 square feet or less. But if there was some way to make it incredibly clear, such as not including cargo containers or something in the first sentence, just so that it's perfectly clear that this isn't the provision that applies to cargo containers. We're talking about everything but cargo containers that are 200 square feet or less, not on a foundation.
So residential accessory building or structure not to include cargo containers
Something very, yeah,
having 200 square feet or less.
yeah.
Then you wouldn't even have to put 4 in there, right?
Does that still cover the temporary structures though?
Yeah, the temporary structures would be
That
separate from this,
That
yeah.
would be a separate thing too. I mean, still keeping them in the side or rear yard, right?
Well, I believe that the temporary can be placed in the driveway for,
Oh, the storage.
Yeah.
Okay.
One question I had, page 7, it mentions the structure shall be set back a minimum of 5 feet from the principal building. It was, in red, and then if you go down to D, no detached accessory building or structure shall be located closer than 10 feet to any main building
Yeah, so this is just specifically for those small sheds.
I gotcha.
So Tim, going back to page 5, did you want to strike the word storage on number 4? When you're talking about cargo containers being used to store ship goods or building materials associated with storage and shipping facility? Did you want to,
Yeah, I think we're talking about trying to.
Did you wanna strike that?
Yeah.
Perfect. I have
I
that in
mean,
my notes.
I mean, just
Yeah.
so we can clarify that,
Yeah.
that it would be a,
Never
not a
gonna hurt,
storage
yeah.
lot, but it would be a shipping facility.
Yeah, definitely not gonna hurt.
I have the update on 13, we, changed 3 to 5 and matched the previous statement.
Yep.
And then obviously on page 6.
Yep.
Excluding or addressing cargo.
Yeah, it says, under 8 at the bottom, all right?
Yeah.
Residential accessory building or structures excluding cargo containers having 200 square feet or less. You can phrase it better than I can phrase it,
I
but
gotcha.
that's the gist.
On my list.
Hey, we got some pretty good feedback here. Anything else?
Do we need to make a motion to postpone any more action on this until this is?
You can postpone with those amendments, or you can approve pending those amendments. It depends on if you want it to come back before you to read those again.
I'd like to see them. I'd like to see them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's, either way, we're gonna have to act on it again.
Yeah.
It's worth another read through.
Yep.
I do the final one read.
Will we need a public hearing if it comes back to us?
No, you just needed the one.
Okay.
Yep.
Sure, I guess we'll make a motion to postpone any action on the proposed text amendment, until the text is changed. Corrected, however you wanna
updated,
update it.
edited?
Edited.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Francescos to postpone action until the next revision is reviewed.
I'll support.
Thank you. Support from Robert, all in favor?
Aye.
Now, number 11, other matters to be reviewed, which we have none. So that takes us to item 12B, the mention of this building company, final site plan review. Hey, Chris, you reviewed this, have any input on updates or changes since our last discussion?
Yeah, just one thing to note is that the back patio areas have been removed, so they do now comply with the setbacks. And then the other large change to the plan is that they provided a landscaping plan. And so there's a few notes we have on that, including that the dwarf fountain grass proposed to meet a portion of the shrub count is not sufficient, as it's deemed a perennial rather than a shrub, so it dies each year and comes back. And that's per the recommendation of the landscape architect that works at our firm. And our review also made note of the minimum plant sizes, which should be cited on the final landscaping plan. And I also provided you guys a copy with the landscaping plan, has highlights on it to just kind of help get a visual guide for the decisions that you guys kind of have modification approval for, and I just want to let you know, I do have a copy for you guys too, if it helps for the count, in reviewing. And so, going through this, Section 2807 allows for the Planning Commission to exercise discretion in determining whether a modification in landscaping requirements is appropriate. And the commission is to consider whether the following conditions exist, and that is topographic features or other unique features of the site create conditions such that strict application of landscape regulations would result in a less effective screening than an alternative landscape design made in consideration of topographic features. Parking, vehicular circulation, or land use is such that required landscaping would not enhance the site or result in the desired landscaping effect. The public benefit intended by the landscaping regulations could be better achieved with a plan that varies from the strict requirements of this article and ordinance in general. Based on our review, we would not recommend modifications of this type for the subject site, specifically because a majority of the landscaping deficiencies are along West Grand River Avenue, which is high traffic, and the landscaping requirements would help provide that natural buffer and noise reduction. Additionally, the commission can consider existing elements in the landscaping design, which is detailed in section 2806, and that allows the commission to permit substitution of plant material in place of the requirements provided. Such substitution is in keeping with the spirit and intent of this article and zoning ordinance. Now, we do believe that it would be appropriate in this case for the landscaping requirement along Edgebrook Drive, where 9 existing pine trees are located, as they lend to the additional screening near the street, as well as provide additional screening to the northern property line. So when the commission is making their final approval, those should both be included in the motion.
So you have the emails that, those are the most recent correspondence we have. So I don't know if the applicant has more current knowledge than we currently possess.
I'd like to hear, you're aware of the email that Mr. Record sent, and I know you've had some conversations with him, correct?
Yeah, we had several conversations with that. He feels that our site is very minimal on the amount of drainage coming off of it. And he feels that he was hoping we could come to an agreement with the River Downs Association to use their detention pond. He thinks that it was probably designed for this site originally, when the original plans were submitted by the original developer. And, based on the topography, the way this site is, it probably, a lot of our site already drains into that river down there. We've been trying to get talk to the River Downs. They asked us to clear, one gentleman, Mike Chapman, you know Mike Chapman? So he wanted us to clear some site distance down Grand River. I guess when you pull out of Edgewood Drive and look to the east, he said there's some blockage, and we told him we have everything else and clear some site distance, and he was going to bring that to the board.
I work for Ken, so I had a conversation with them earlier this week, and everything you're saying is exactly what Ken had said. As far as impact, it's probably not going to be a lot of impact. he did say that the River Downs Homeowners Association recently put $100,000 into making improvements in that area there. So while it'll have a minimal impact, you know, we've had problems with developments happening and not making provisions for drainage, or the opinion is it's not gonna add a lot to it. And while that might be true, sometimes that can be a problem in futures. You don't know if there's any things in he also alluded that there could be something in the bylaws or deed restrictions in that platted subdivision that may grant you guys access there, to that retention, basin. I don't know if that's a possibility. I'd like to see, I'm okay with the preliminary approval tonight, but I'd like to see an agreement or something worked out where you guys have formal permission to use that, whether you can work with the homeowners association and do some work for them to be able to have access to some of the capacity in there. I think, you know, as a developer, you're gonna build these and you're gonna sell them, which is great. It helps the township tax basis. But if there's ever a problem in the future, we're not gonna be calling you guys. We're gonna be talking to a small homeowners association or for property owners. So it may not seem like a big thing, but I always would wanna try to avert a problem down the road, when we can. And this is kind of a plan to address that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Ken was looking for, in all his documentation, he was looking for something, you know, that the original developer, that was part of the drainage setup for that.
Yeah, he mentioned that, Mr. Harris, he did mention that, but he also mentioned that this developer was not the most thorough person, so, you know, he kind of questioned the deed restrictions and bylaws. So, I mean, I would personally like to see the drain commissioner's concerns addressed somehow with your project. One of the solutions, that was one of the solutions, Mr. Rucker also suggested putting a forebay before you discharge into the retention. That's also a possibility, but I understand it's probably going to have further additional cost to do that. So, I think we got the space on the property to do it. You know, let's be a good neighbor to the River Downs on this.
So we're looking at this final site plan review too, so I think,
What you're saying
is you're more.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
So I agree with you 100%. I mean, I feel comfortable, you know, voting to recommend approval of final site plan until we know what's happening with the drainage from the site. It's all planned out.
So you want either like an agreement with the River Downs Association, or do a forebay in and just retain our little bit of water that's coming off the back of that building?
Yeah, something that would appease the drain office. And I don't think it's gonna be, you know, I don't know the amount of impervious space. You got the parking lot, you got the houses, a lot of that's gonna be going down there. I just think for the protection of the people you're selling the condos to, if they have permission to use that detention pond, and it's in writing, when there's problems down the road, or if there ever are, they're not holding up, you know, they're not high and dry in that solution.
Well, thinking down the road, if there's enhancements or work needed on that retention pond, the neighborhood associations
association dues went to this work, and somebody is gonna be using it that didn't contribute.
Well, no, my point is if they have permission, then they would also be
Yeah, oh,
included in future maintenance and upkeep.
however that is. You know, it could be,
How about if we provide a letter saying, we put it into our master deed stating that, you know, we're willing to participate in future maintenance on, with River Downs, prorated basis per unit. Would that be something sufficient for the township? I mean, that stuff's been there for 30-some odd years, and they haven't put any money into that out there. You know, and the drainage, and Ken will admit, that stuff's been a disaster.
yes.
And the original developer, didn't, you guys, the drain commission, took the bond money that was supposed to, and I don't know what happened to that, but I don't know if you guys actually put money back into that drainage swale, but I'd be willing to put a letter together, or put it into our master deed and in our bylaws, saying that we're willing to participate in future maintenance of that detention pond. With the River Downs Association.
That's fine, but what if River Downs say, thank you for the offer, but, no.
Well, it would need to be approved by.
I would think something would need, some kind of agreement between you and them, giving you access or capacity to that. It may already be there and nobody's been able to find it. It may already be in some paperwork. I think your parcel was part of that whole parcel at one time.
It was.
So, I mean, it may be there, but I'd like to see it. And we're looking out for the 4 homeowners that are gonna be buying your units. That's who we have to look out for. So, I don't know what the solution is, but, I know nothing is not gonna suffice in my opinion.
So I thought the emails were kind of open-ended, like who is Century, is that? Century is mentioned.
It's probably the people who manage the.
That's who
HOA,
manages
yeah.
McRiver Downs? And it says they've asked Century to figure out what the next step should be. Does anyone know what those are? I'm just asking because it doesn't really say.
Yeah, it says,
Yeah, we've been trying to get a hold of someone on board over there. And we had-
Is that the issue you're having? I mean, I'm just kind of wondering why this wasn't done before it got here, right? I mean,
We haven't been able to make any penetration with Century or with anyone on board. Mike Chapman, that was, the name was given to me from Ken Recker, because Ken had been talking to Mike Chapman. So I did have a conversation with Mike Chapman, and he was supposed to have some more, if we could, he's the one that suggested, that we, clear the, site distance, in exchange for letting us, drain into the pond,
Which I think
which is only gonna come off the back of our building. The front of our building is all going,
into the street and that.
yeah. So, and all our parking area, all that grading is going towards the street. It's just, we will have some gutters and downspouts on the back of our building that'll, if we can, go into the existing pond. If not, we'll probably run all that out to the street also.
I know it's not part of what you want to hear from someone, but now's the time to do something. And we've seen it in our office time and time again. There's problems because stuff has been done without thinking down the road what implications there's going to be. It's probably going to be a minor, but
Right.
on that.
How big of a four-bay do you think?
I'm not an engineer, this could be a good joke in there, but, you probably have to think, Ken didn't think it was gonna be a big four-bay there. So, I don't even know what that cost would be, so I don't know, who was your engineer on this, was it?
East Engineering,
Okay.
actually.
I don't know, have you asked them about this? This concern has been here for three months.
Yeah, we've been talking to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
We're hoping to get an agreement with the River Downs Association instead of doing a four-bay. Yeah.
that probably would be the most cost-effective way. And if you can do some work for them that they wanna do as part of some payment for the agreement,
Right.
I think that would,
We're willing to do that.
yeah, I mean, I would be satisfied with that.
Okay.
Oh.
We'll continue to try and get a hold of the board over there and see if we can make some headway on that.
I want to make sure I understand what you're saying. Are you saying that your motion will ultimately be to postpone until you get the approval from the Drain Commission, or are you going to condition your approval that they have to get Drain Commissioner approval, and then administratively, once we have that, they can move forward?
I would be comfortable with doing a condition on it, that if you're satisfied with meeting the needs of the drain commissioner.
I mean, we would just require a letter from the Drain Commissioner's office that they've approved whatever the plan is in the end, whatever the solution is, as long as the Drain Commissioner signs off on it and we get that approval letter, then they would be allowed to move forward. We wouldn't allow them to move forward. We wouldn't issue a permit or anything like that until we had that.
Okay. I would be okay with that. If you, I'd be okay with that.
Now we go on to landscaping. So is there a particular reason because it says a required 95 shrubs, and this is on page 7 along West Grand River, and 3 are provided. Is there a reason why there's such a big discrepancy there?
How many shrubs are required?
So it says 95, and provided is 3. And that would have been, that'll be along Grand River, which is,
Who came up with the 95 on Grand River?
With a minimum of 8 shrubs per every 40 linear feet.
It's also noted on your plan too.
175.15 feet.
so is that the entire parcel going all the way?
95
Okay.
shrubs.
Wasn't there some plantings on?
So you, yeah, I don't, I agree with what you're trying to say, because you're only developing the, I guess it would be the northwest portion of the parcel.
The rest of it natural. So who's gonna maintain the 95?
Right.
Who's gonna maintain 95 shrubs? We're just, we're gonna just let it go natural. They're not gonna get irrigated.
So with that in mind, is the part that they're actually developing where the houses are gonna be, do we have any way of figuring out if that is,
We could remeasure for that.
okay.
It just specifically wasn't done that way initially because that's not how the ordinance is written, but with the discretion it gives the planning commission, we could reconfigure that.
Well, in this case, I think this was a preservation area anyway, originally. And you're only developing the one portion of it, so I don't see, I agree with you. I don't agree with putting shrubs all the way down the entire frontage. Yeah, but I would like to see them where you're developing, because it is to shield, the development from Grand River.
We're gonna put some pines or something.
Yes, there's a line of arbor.
I thought they were gonna leave natural, yeah.
Yeah, our plan, I thought we had a berm on our plan with some pine trees.
That's the plan you guys submitted. I just put the color on top.
This seems to be a pretty legit landscape plan. It's got quite a long,
So you have arborvitae's, I think.
The,
This is
the
the plan
arborvitae's
you
counted towards the
submitted.
tree count in this case.
Okay.
Got 13.
He just colored, you can have this,
Oh, right
Scott.
here.
He just colored it.
Oh, gotcha, yeah. Yeah, so we have a screen here that we were gonna put in, on the side of the building to screen it from Grand River.
That's part of the arborvitae, is that what you're?
Then the
That's-
arborvitae's will be out further, I believe, right?
This guy, yeah, this guy.
So dense spreading yew is the ones up against the building,
He's just coloring it to indicate what it is.
Oh,
yeah,
gotcha.
one
That's
side
all.
and two
So he
ends.
took your
but
plan
then the
and
ones
just,
out closer to
just
Grand
indicating
River would
things
be
for them.
arborvitae's, which seems sufficient.
What are those dotted lines? Is that
That's water main utilities.
okay?
You can have it if you want to look at it.
So are we okay with the way of the screening then on the building? Or,
I think this will look very nice. You know, looking at how the plantings are arranged on the property,
I think the 95 came from the whole frontage, going all the way down, further south on Grand River, which makes no sense.
that's accommodating for the entire property versus the development of the property.
Yes.
Yeah, so, which is accurate.
Was that the only deficiency? I think we had another one.
There were a couple others, but not combined.
What would be the difference on like Edgebrook? Well, we're only talking 8 there. 8 different. The
But
grass?
the Edgebrook ones we're talking about the difference between the grass and a shrub. Is that?
No, the Edgebrook ones that I had mentioned it would be appropriate to accept is that the pine trees go to the east instead of going directly across the Edgebrook Drive, but they still provide a decent amount of landscaping there without the need to add the additional, which would be required typically.
So are these pines on the north side, are they existing
Yes.
already? And what you're saying is that the arborvitae should have went further north or west?
Technically, but
The edge of Edgewood?
there is the provision that you guys can waive it because that could be considered sufficient.
I'm sorry, Grayson, you're saying that what's existing is sufficient? Is that what you just said?
Along Edgebrook, yes.
Yeah, okay.
The shrubbery the 95 that are supposed to go across there, were not highlighted because they're grass, basically, the perennials. So those could be replaced with a shrub.
These ones right here. These are the ones fronting Edgebrook itself?
These are grasses right now.
Yeah.
And we're talking about changing.
Yeah, those should be shrubs, yeah.
So right now it's listed as proposed dwarf fountain grass? Is that the one we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. And you said that that dies off every year?
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna be honest, I don't remember the 90-something shrubs. I guess that's, I mean, it seemed like, I mean, I'm just saying that maybe I wasn't paying attention, maybe I wasn't aware of it, but I guess my question is, when your architect did this, did he not explain about the landscaping requirements, or, I mean, you got kind of surprised about this, which I am too, but I mean, did he not talk to you about what plantings and what trees were needed, or?
Well, I think that is, I mean, what do you want to do? It's, you know, if you want to. put a-
Yeah, no, I know, I'm just,
Decide on the Long River and all that.
yeah, no, I'm just asking you, we didn't do this, your architect did it, and I just don't know if you didn't.
Just going by the ordinance, I think, 'cause
Okay.
it's required by you guys to, you know, update our plan to where the ordinance said. Like the ordinance, it's
Gotcha.
kind of ridiculous on this stuff.
That's why there's the provision that they can
So,
waive.
Right,
you know,
okay.
um,
Yeah, I was just a little confused about how this came about.
Yeah, I think we're covered on the Grand River. I don't think you need 93 shrubs on there, so, yeah. There's no sense in putting them down where there's natural, it's a natural site anyway, so. I'm a little concerned with the edging along Edgebrook, which the alternate would be to provide what kind of, something that stays year round?
Some more
Yeah.
evergreen.
Yes.
type, Instead of a dead clump of grass every winter.
And I'm trying to remember when I was out there, for the residents that are up there, can they see this complex? I mean, the ones that are in River Downs, out of their backyard, I wanna say they could. And that's, I bet they have the arborvitaes, but they don't have them going all the way. I don't know if those pine trees are gonna shield them enough.
It's pretty shielded.
Is it?
I mean, when you're going up there, you can see the Venice office quite well. You kind of gotta go up the hill, and I don't think any of the houses directly north of that are really gonna see a lot of.
With what they have in there, you think that'll cover it?
There.
Okay, that would be my only concern is,
Right, when you're pulling in there, you're going up the hill, right?
it's like,
It's like
it's
incline.
like great.
But the houses they're gonna see, yours are probably on the west side of Edgebrook versus the east side, right?
Say that again?
Like when you're coming up there, as you're driving, you see those houses on the west side before you see anything on the east side.
Google Maps,
Yeah,
Yeah.
good idea.
right, yeah. Well, there's something more up here.
Yeah, I think the shielding.
Yeah, that, I mean,
I didn't, these are small trees, turn it all
this is the proposed piece, these
Yeah.
are actually
not Christmas trees.
quite large trees.
Yeah, I'm just, at the ground level, I wanna make sure.
Yes, I think, are you looking
Yes.
slightly uphill towards that? So you mean these people are looking down to that?
Would you guys like the site on the big screen?
Sure.
One shot on Google Earth.
Yeah.
this is the site in question. We don't have Google Street View, but
Yeah, there's some pretty good issues when she lived in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a pretty full of it, bottom of the tree too.
Is that,
I think that's pretty solid screening there, and it's not like you're building a taco hut or something that's gonna be a detriment to the neighbors. I mean, that's some quality housing right there.
Right here.
so I'm trying to remember the elevation, where those houses, I'm thinking if you're turning in there with your headlights at night, are we gonna be shining into the back, those houses?
so I mean, looks like this, are you gonna use this existing drive?
Correct, yeah.
So as you're coming in there, are you gonna be putting your headlights right into those
So,
houses?
so these houses and possibly that one will get it.
If you actually go out to the site, you'll see that it's actually even more overgrown there on that line of lines than you see from this.
Yeah, I think those are all trees there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be my only concern, is if, you know, and I'm trying to remember, I remember looking at it when I was there, but it was during your preliminary, so. But that was my concern, was the neighbors' backyards, they're now gonna be.
I think by the time they get to that drive, their headlights are pointing down the road. Anyway.
I'm not sure
Yeah.
if those houses are sitting down or up, I don't recall.
Can you put elevation on there at all?
We don't have elevation.
Now you're getting way
It's not
technical.
like a hill, but it's not flat.
Oh, I'm a liar. We can.
We got one line.
Slightly.
Not very helpful. Here, let me zoom out one. It's not real detailed.
Yeah, you can see that there's 900 and that's the next as it goes up. I mean, it's, I don't know if that's 5 foot elevation marks or. I think the landscaping, the existing landscaping and anything proposed up there.
Well, the proposed doesn't go all, it looks like the proposed only goes down to, I don't know, I'm trying to count pine trees, right?
Right here. It's like that gap right here.
I mean, to me, it looks like,
Cause there is a row of arborvitae's you're adding in there, just not all the way to Edgebrook.
None of those arbors are gonna be right in the headlight path.
Right there.
Yeah, and in the backyard of that one house.
Cause you gotta think that, you know, a car's turning in, it's gonna turn, we point right at those arbors. Oh, my, sliding there.
That's as far as the arborvitae's
good
go,
visual,
with the
yeah.
yellow?
And a good, driver's lane.
Oh.
Again,
I was looking at a different map, I didn't get the colored
you
one.
have that angle. So you,
Yeah,
Right.
I'm just guessing based on, yeah, the map.
To me, that looks adequate to me.
how tall are those existing pines?
pretty tall.
I was out there, like, originally.
Yeah, look at, those are big, those are,
Yeah, they're good sized
Nice size.
trees.
Yeah, but it's the size, I'm just wondering about how tall they were.
Those trees were probably planted when the subdivision was put in.
Yeah, about 40 feet, that's good sized trees.
Can you just tell us what you'd like to see differently on the plan and we'll do it?
I think we talked about changing along Edgebrook Drive, that wasn't the dwarf grass, it was, what was it?
The grasses or shrubs, or actual evergreen shrub. The proposed dwarf fountain grass for some sort of an evergreen shrub.
And if everyone thinks that, the arborvitae's along the north side there, and those pine trees do enough covering for the houses in the back, I'm okay with that, but.
I think it's adequate.
I think it is, because they're also looking at putting in all those arborvitae's, that's gonna totally hide any headlights pulling in.
The arborvitae's don't go down all the way though, so.
But it looked adequate. If you're worried about headlights, yeah, I think that's
I
good.
think that's completely consistent.
I guess not
Yep.
like.
I mean, if the pine trees are thick enough, and like I said, I was the preliminaries when I was out there, so.
Yeah, so I think we're looking at replacing the dwarf grass with some sort of evergreen shrub, and then approval from the drain commission.
And changing the number of shrubs on Edgebrook.
Grand River.
Grand River, yeah.
And that was from
Right.
95, what was the number for that?
Well, did we say Grayson was gonna?
Yeah, he's gonna recalculate.
Recalculate that.
Okay.
We'd have to get that.
Yeah, cause it shows 3 provided along Grand River,
Yeah,
and it needs to be,
they're the few arborvitae that are highlighted in blue. Um, It could be an option if you guys wanted to just have them replace the shrubs that were along Edgebrook that are proposed there right now as dwarf fountain grass as shrubs, because I didn't count those at all. So that could be, if you're okay with how it's screened right now, if you just switch that out, that could be
So you're saying
There.
that this screening here is sufficient, the arborvitae's, and then we just replace these with an evergreen shrub?
Yeah, I don't think that adding a few shrubs in that area would provide much more benefit than if you just had them replace the proposed fountain grass with shrubs.
And still keep the same count of 96?
well, we're talking about the Grand River.
Right, and,
We don't know what that number should be yet, right?
correct.
Yeah, but
So-
we know it's gonna be a lot less than 95.
Yeah, it would definitely be a lot less than that.
But more than 3, cause it
Yes.
says provided is only 3.
Yeah, and that could go along that strip that they have there, of arborvitae.
Mitch, do you own this property now? I think it's gonna be a nice building. I know we're getting that, a lot of scrutiny, but I think it's gonna be a nice building, nice set of housing units there. I'm complimenting you.
This will be a real nice addition to the area, I'm sure. Yeah. Sorry, I hear this band in here for some reason, it's loud.
So we're calculating what needs to be along Grand River, then changing the grass to the shrubs along Edgebrook, and that was it, right?
So there's 2 comments, on the landscaping.
And then the drain, then the drain.
Sorry, if I could, you also could just decide the number because of the authority that the zoning ordinance gives you. If you feel that you could estimate a number of shrubs that would be appropriate screening here, if you didn't want them to have to come back. Or I can calculate it based on
No, just
the
give us
development
another
area.
cost. You know, it costs
Yeah,
us more
really,
money,
I
and
know,
we go
I know.
back and spend 4 hours
Right,
figuring
right,
it out.
right.
And it's
Probably
not-
figure it out, Jonathan, measured on the screen, right?
Yeah, so I mean, my estimate is that it's, well, you need the full length of the development, is that what you measure?
So that's where the 95 number came from.
Right.
Was the full length of the property.
The property, but
So it's,
But the development's only like a third of it.
the estimate is it's from gutter to the cutout, you know how it's kind of a U shape, it's 100 feet. So it'd be a quarter of the number, or more, probably less than a quarter, because it's almost 500 feet, so it's a fifth.
Ballpark land, 18, 20, somewhere like that. How many of those are 14?
So 25?
25 total, or 25, or 20 out in front, and what, 25 total?
On the Grand River, if we're looking at 120 feet, eight shrubs per 40 feet. What's that, 3 times 8, 24?
Right.
Was it 120 or was it 100?
It's,
It's approximately 100.
Approximately 100.
Okay.
So it's 100 foot there, and that would be 8 for 40, so that'd be,
8, 16,
that'd be 20.
20.
My vote's for 20.
20.
So 20 arborvitae's on the, south side of the building.
Along Grand River.
Between the building and
Along-
Grand River.
Right.
So it has to,
Yeah, alongside the.
I guess I'm not understanding
Line
why
there, so you
you
could say,
why you have to, why you
Yeah,
have
it's
to
not-
screen from Grand River, I drive by and you see houses all.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, why?
I don't understand why you would have to do that.
Okay, so just a quick question. I mean, is the ordinance that that the buildings have to be screened from Grand River? Is that a, like, is that correct? I'm just thinking, like, to me, as long as the entrance is nice and when people drive by, and is that the ordinance that everything has to be completely blocked off from Grand River? I'm just asking.
It's not necessarily that it needs to be completely blocked off, but Grand River does require additional screening because of the
Okay.
high traffic.
Okay.
But again, the zoning ordinance does allow for you guys to make the modifications. So if you believe that it's not as necessary, you can waive certain parts of it and require it in other areas.
It's also screened in Grand River from the residents. Right.
No, I understand that. I understand that. I just want to make sure that, arborvitae's can get kind of big, and so I just wondered if, but that's okay, okay,
Helps with noise too,
yeah.
somewhat.
No, 20 is a happy number.
Okay.
And then if you want the shrubs to be here, I would include that in your motion because they're currently the dwarf fountain grass.
The ones along.
Just so that it, yeah, just so that it's clear in the motion.
The subs in place of the dwarf fountain.
I just want to be clear, we're doing 20 arborvitae's on Grand River.
I think it's 20 shrubs. They need 20
They were
shrubs.
just saying 20 arborvitae's.
Yeah.
Some arborvitae's are shrubs. Some are trees.
Okay, so we need to clarify what it is, okay,
I would agree with
for
that.
Grand River. Okay, I'm just trying to make it as easy for them as possible. So when it comes to 20, some people are saying arborvitae's. Are we talking about a certain height that they have to be? I'm just trying to make it so they understand what it is we're asking of them. Is there,
According to ACE's engineering drawing, their minimum planting height of 5 feet.
Page 6 of the review
Okay.
notes what they are required to be for the ordinance.
Okay,
to count as a tree or a shrub.
okay, so 25-foot arborvitae's. 25 footers is what they're, 25-foot bushes, trees, arborvitae's, whatever you wanna call them. Just trying to make it clear here.
So any kind of shrub,
Yeah, I believe they said evergreen shrub specifically.
evergreen?
Yeah.
We can do that.
Like boxwoods. I like boxwoods.
25 footers.
Did we address the foundation plantings, that there was one does not comply? Have we talked about that?
Can I just clarify one thing? So we're talking about arborvitae's on Grand River. You know, 5-foot arborvitae trees, different than a shrub that's on Edgewood Boulevard, Edgewood Drive.
Yes.
Okay, just wanna make that crystal clear. We're talking about
Right.
5-foot arborvitae's on Grand River and swapping out the dwarf grasses for evergreen shrubs along Edgewood Drive.
Correct.
So the ornamental tree is what you're talking about, Rob?
Yeah, just that there was one other does not comply.
Right.
Eight shrubs for every 40 feet, whereas it says 47, we require 55. What?
No, one down, I think.
Yeah.
Table 4.
Table five, I'm sorry. Okay.
So the requirement is one ornamental tree per 35 feet on the west side of the structure, so that is the front of it, right? Kind of the front of the structure. Our calculations show there should be 3 trees, and it's only showing 1 tree. Is it that one tree, Grayson, that's right here on that?
I think it's the yellow dot.
Yeah.
I don't have a color copy of it. Is it the yellow dot? That yellow dot?
Yeah, that one yellow dot.
Okay, so you're proposing 1, and we're saying we need 3. Where can we put those other 2 trees?
And again, that is another requirement that could be waived or adjusted because it's also along Grand River, arguably.
Right?
Actually, I think you may have miscolored it. They say they have 4. I believe along Edgebrook, there are 3 more. They are actually in dots. One is, I will say, north of the driveway, and 2 are south of the driveway.
Right here.
For
There's-
west of the
yeah.
building?
Yeah, they're labeled, well, do you consider along Edgebrook west of the building? Because I know it's like northwest. So,
I didn't when I was counting. I counted those as
those are for
for
Edgebrook?
Edgebrook,
Okay,
but
all right.
But these are surrounded by.
they exceeded there, so
So he's got 3 trees. So it is more. 3 on the south. So 4 on the south.
So does he need that elevation as proposed?
He's counting along Edgebrook differently than near the building.
Okay.
but with the changes that you just made, they will be adding the additional arborvitae along West Grand River, so it would achieve essentially the same goal.
Oh, that looks good to me.
So what looks good? So,
So after all that, we got just 2 changes to the landscaping?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm just saying that the trees that they have, it looks like there's 4 trees there. And then that one, right off the Edgebrook is gonna be replaced, the grasses is gonna be replaced with shrubs. Okay.
We're okay with it. Any other concerns? No?
I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion, a motion to conditionally approve the final site plan at parcel 4706-27-300-030, conditional on approval of the drain commission. Also, with a reduction to 20 arborvitae trees along the Grand River side, and the addition of evergreen shrubs instead of the dwarf grass along the Edgebrook side. What did I miss?
Support. Yeah,
Do you have something?
Did you have some?
no, I thought there was one other.
I would want, I would want to clarify when you said approval of the drain commission, maybe to the satisfaction of the drain commissioner, that the drainage concerns have been adequately addressed.
Is that a friendly amendment? I will accept that.
Okay, so we have a motion from Mr. Baldwin for an amendment. And, who's the second? Is that Mike? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Come back and build more.
I promise it won't.
No, don't do it.
Do you still own land, up by, 59 and, the old Amber development? There was some property back in there that you talked about.
We don't own that anymore.
There's some acreage on Oak Grove and Monmouth. That's still for sale. To a big developer possibly.
The township own that?
There's the 73 acres up there. With how many RUs? 400, right?
I would say plenty. I don't know it offhand. Yeah.
Are these all paid for already?
Every year they get paid a little bit more.
No, they're frozen.
Are they, or are
Yeah,
they?
it's part of the purchase price that you'd have to pay. Yep.
Can we talk about it now? Is that
Talk with Chad Howard.
not work?
You can call me anytime.
Okay. All right, very good. I think it's, inclusive golf course, right? Just along that Oak Grove,
It touches the golf course.
it touches it.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks for your patience.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a great problem.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Take care.
Okay, next up, we have a, renewable energy ordinance. So do we have a write-up for this outside of the packet from SU and OPM? Okay, got it, okay.
There's actually some really good information in there if you can,
should have seen this like a couple of months ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
And it was recent.
It
It just
was
came
written a
out
couple of months ago.
in May, so I mean, and then you, if you look at the, unfortunately, I mean, well, not unfortunately, but there's a lot of educators in here. But the reviewers also include some practical. And along those lines, I think I mentioned it to a couple, I invited, Mr. Mills to speak to us. I told him, he couldn't make tonight for his prior commitment, but I don't know if we wanna wait to listen to him, or if it's, I'll leave that up to the board, whether they think that's a good idea. So it's Mr. Mills, he's a landowner in the township. He's been approached by solar. He's spoken at Call to the Public a few times concerning the solar. Unfortunately, at Call to the Public, we're not able to engage and ask him questions. I had a couple questions I wanted to ask him. He was willing to do that, but he just couldn't make it tonight, so I don't know if that's important to anybody or not, but.
It's important to me.
Yeah,
I mean,
what he said was very informative.
Yeah.
and
Yes.
would be interesting.
I mean, and he is actually at the ground level, so to
Yeah.
speak, right?
Right.
And I think that's important if we're making something for the residents of the township, which is essentially what we're doing by proposing the ordinances. And we have listened to other people. We actually have this, so I don't think we can know too much.
Has anybody, asked, well, was it Van Gilder that was approached as well, or is he interested in seeing where we go with?
I mean, to my knowledge, Van Gilder has not been approached, but I wouldn't necessarily have that information until, they decided to come forward. I think maybe what you're thinking about is the area we had designated for this overlay district was a lot of Van Gilder property. And that just happened to be open property very near the big transmission lines, but also didn't have a lot of houses around it. So
Okay.
we were just looking at it logically to say, if it was gonna go someplace, where would it go? Yeah, and that's,
The most likely home for it.
And I wasn't completely clear as to whether or not Van Gilder was inquiring as to where we were gonna go, or.
to my knowledge, he's not inquired with us, yeah.
And what we have, Jonathan, that solar overlay district, that is the only place that somebody right now can put a solar overlay.
Would that be industrial solar, correct, though?
At least on a scale, on a
Large scale.
Right. Over 50, is it over 50?
So our ordinance already includes a provision for solar currently, without this overlay district.
Yeah, like on-site stuff,
Right.
yeah.
I think for the most part, it addresses on your house, that sort of thing. I'm gonna try to find this section.
But right now, if somebody wanted to put solar in the township, they can only put it in that overlay district.
The overlay district doesn't exist yet.
Oh, we haven't even formally.
That's what you guys are talking about.
But I didn't see anything for a district in here.
I was gonna ask about that too, because you're right. We've talked about the overlay, and like you said, it was thrown out there a while back.
Right.
But it's not in anything that we're dealing with now.
And interesting, I was talking with somebody that's on the Conway Planning Commission, and something that they have done is they calculated what needs they needed, and maybe you've heard of this. They calculated what the township required, what that was for solar, and they allocated enough acres only to provide the electricity for that.
For that specific township?
Yeah.
That's
and
interesting.
I thought that was an interesting take.
So last Wednesday, at the County Planning Commission in, I believe it's Iosco Township, DTE has came out there and they want to put in, I think it's 1,800 acres. And I believe Iosco had a 900 acre parcel that wasn't an overlay, but DTE wanted an additional 900 acres, and I don't remember the megawatts, but it was big. And it was a split decision with the county planners. They approved the overlay district that the township did, but the concerns with most of the commissioners was it was setting a dangerous precedence because DTE was asking for something outside of what the township had already decided. And this is all, unfortunately, as we're dealing with this, it's working its way through the courts. There's something up in Gaylord now where a judge has ruled that townships don't have to file or follow 233. Stay tuned for the next court battle and where we're going to end up. But So when we're talking overlay districts, that's, you know, I mean, Iosco County, or not county, township, that's what happened last Wednesday at the county planning
So
level.
DTE was asking for 1,800 acres
Total,
total.
right. In two
Not
different
necessarily-
locations. Well, they were connected, but you looked at a map, but one was in an overlay district that was approved by the township.
But
And,
both within Iosco.
yes,
Okay. And Iosco only
had only allocated, I believe,
allocated nine.
they're approximate numbers, but I think it was 900 acres.
And I think I asked this before, are we kind of in a hot spot for solar? Due to maybe the build out of the county and proximity to infrastructure to which that they would connect? I know on our western border, right there on Owasso Road, I don't know how you would, but there's huge power lines, so I'm assuming that could be a way to feed into the system. Is there anything else in the county? And then Mr. Mills also mentioned, when he was talking about I think he called it community solar, having access, adequate access is if there's three-phase power, and three-phase means there's three power lines. I've been watching power lines lately, and I've been driving, but to be able to tie into something on a smaller scale. But I'm not sure how big of we have a lot of open ground here. I don't know, have you ever been approached by anybody with one of these mega farm solar?
No, we haven't, no. Everything we see is either ground mounted or roof mounted for essentially personal use. I will direct you, the section of our ordinance is section 1619, if you guys do want to look at our solar stuff.
What is it?
1619. And to kind of answer your question, the way I read this, and Grayson can provide his input as well, there's a section C that talks about solar energy farms, and essentially it would be allowed on, I mean, it would be permitted as a special principal use in the AR district, but the way I read this, it would be allowed, possibly allowed, on any property in the township zoned AR. And that's where, when we were looking at the overlay district, we were looking at it logically, saying, A, do we want it everywhere? And B is, if it's gonna go somewhere, where should it go? And that's where we came up with where are the big lines? Because they want to be close to the big lines, because they don't want to run a big line to get to the big lines. They want to be as close to those as they can. So we were looking to just kind of repeat, big open area, fewest number of homes, nearest the big lines, the transmission lines.
I know we went over that before. How many acres was our overlay? I think we figured that out here, but I don't recall what it was.
I think it's almost like 2,000 acres.
Is that big?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because I think the Van Gilder area itself is almost 2,000 by itself, and there was another strip, because the transmission lines are not in the township along Owasso Road for the most part, and then they do cross, and they're in the township for a little bit, and then they exit a little further east than Owasso Road. So there was a couple of farm parcels along Allen Road, and so east of Owasso on Allen, as those lines leave the township. So there were a couple of parcels up there included in that overlay district, just because, again, it's sparsely populated, large parcels, not very many homes.
But we don't have an overlay district.
We currently do not. 1619 is what you have.
Okay. So,
What do you do to have that overlay district for that ordinance?
Do we
So
want to?
you guys are discussing the solar stuff. I know we talked about overlays in the past, and that's where I would say if you want this to be an overlay, then that language needs to be added. You'd have to do something with our map, but
It was a logical place to put them on
I think we all agreed that it was, the whole thing is like the very best spot in the township for it to go, but I don't know if they went
Well, I think at the time that the legal position was I mean, obviously you can't zone it out completely, so we had to make something that was allowable.
From my recollection, that is similar to where we left it. It was that was the logical place to have it, but that having it designated as an overlay could lean non-favorable in court.
Could mean what, Grayson?
Like non-favorable in court, meaning like that they might side with the developer because it's being too restrictive, even though it would most likely be the area that they would locate anyway.
Yeah, if I understand it correctly, they just go to the state route. They can get approval to put it wherever the state says it's okay, regardless of
Yeah.
our zoning or overlay.
Yes.
Our
So-
intent here is to make it easier for them.
Yeah.
To put it in this city area where it's a favorable place for solar.
And for us to maintain some kind of control.
Yes. Yeah. So
Right,
it was.
That's 100%,
our
yeah.
requirements,
Well-
setbacks and noise and.
Mhm.
Technically, what we're crafting now could be used for a nameplate
Yes.
capacity, right?
Yes.
In any part of the township.
As it's written now, yes.
So I think we would have to look how many more large parcels does a township have?
Tim, do you know how many acres Mr. Mills was approached about?
I do not, but he did mention community solar and.
He mentioned like 40, he mentioned like, there were like.
I think it's 40
three, like a
acres.
mega
40.
Mega farms and a community solar, I think is the term.
Community solar, which was what I was more curious about, but I couldn't ask him a question.
It's
so.
like 40 acres.
Okay.
Is what he was kind of doing. And an overlay district says that you could put solar in there. We're not putting zoning on somebody's property that they don't want. If somebody doesn't
Right.
want the
Right.
solar,
Yeah.
then it
They
doesn't
just say
matter.
no.
So we're not shutting down anybody's.
Okay, we could say we're gonna build unicorn houses or whatever. As long as somebody doesn't want that, that's fine, right?
So if you did go the overlay district route, what it allows you to do is you are allowed to do one more thing. You don't have to do that thing.
Correct, okay,
So Ranger could approach me, I'm in the district, they could approach me and I could say, no thanks.
okay.
They can't
And
force me to
solar.
do it. It's
Okay.
just that if I'm interested, I can say yes,
Okay.
and then I can go through that path.
Right, right.
Or if there's no overlay district, Ranger could do the leases and come in and
I
approach
think
a
as it's written right now, they could go anywhere in the township.
Right,
Right.
so this kind of helps direct them.
Kind of like mobile home zone, it's in a way, right? Where the township decides this area is okay for a mobile home, maybe that's not.
I look, the only overlay district we currently have is our wellhead protection area, recently passed. So essentially, you have more restrictions on your property if you own property inside the wellhead protection. So if I own property in the wellhead protection area, there are things I'm not allowed to do, right? So it's because it's a protection. This is kind of the same but opposite, which is if I own property in this overlay district, I'm allowed to do this one extra thing.
But it still has to meet the requirements of
Yeah.
the ordinance, as far as screening and setbacks and noise restrictions and.
You'd still have to go through the process to get it approved. It's just that it's a thing that is allowed.
Does it give us a better defense should we, or our residents not want solar to happen overlay? Someone says, here's your district here, I wanna do something up here. Is there a better defense that the township has to say we have an area that we allow for it? You know,
I don't have any knowledge in that.
It's still up in the air because there's so many proceedings going through the courts right now. It's been said one way or the other, but for example, if they have the majority of an area within your overlay district and maybe one parcel that just is right outside of it, they're gonna void any cooperation with the township and they would go to the state.
See, that's been my concern. If we don't try to do something where we can say, you have to put a guarantee down or a surety bond, whatever you say, or if something goes wrong, then you have to put the property back to the way you found it. If we don't have something, then the state could come in and say they can do it, and then we'd have no say at all.
Right.
Am I wrong?
No,
And
that's,
that,
the state would probably.
I think we still do that.
for
Yeah.
decommissioning.
Right,
and
but
that.
at
it's
least,
not
but at
over.
least we can say, hey, look, we understand, and if you're coming in,
On the
then
township's terms.
work with us, and we'll,
If you're gonna appeal it to the state, you're gonna be in line.
100%.
That's it, it's not just, they're trying to put them other places.
They haven't even started yet. With, there's lawsuits already filed, so.
No, I know.
Yeah, I think that's really our best interest is to define an ideal place in our township for this. And that would leave it up to the solar organizations to contact landowners and make a proposal. It's a due process.
Did the green energy things and the BBB change, does that impact some of these things?
So there was language in there that so many projects weren't started, but then it got changed in the Senate. You know, it needed to be started like by, and there was a lot of concerns that the products were made, and to me, I think this is a legitimate concern. All these products are coming from foreign countries,
Yep.
so this is our energy supply. I think that it would be negligent of us not to have some type of safeguard in there. I mean,
There was the Ways and Means Committee, I haven't had a chance to read, it's like 48 pages, but it has everything like present and then what is in the law.
so it changed several times between the Senate and the House and the final version that was passed, and I haven't heard the actual interpretation of it, or what's the official one, but yeah, there was some changes. And some of them were the fact that if the project wasn't started, the funding was gonna be, because unfortunately, I think if the subsidies go away, I think this will,
Yeah, I know that.
it'll change a lot.
Don't quote me, but like the geothermal heat systems, I think that tax credit is going away. And that's a pretty significant.
Sure.
It's a 30% tax credit on that. I mean,
That's totally gonna
Yeah.
de-incentivize because of geothermal especially, to recoup your cost on that
Yeah,
initially. it's
no, we
huge.
just put one in, and I think my tax credit was $10,000.
Mhm.
And it was a huge factor
Yeah.
in us going that route.
Would you have done it without it?
Probably not, but I would have had to have propane, and that would have haunted me.
Mhm.
I think, I might have
Yeah,
said,
hostage.
but, so,
Sure.
but good or bad, there's,
Well, that's just it. Well, we're trying to craft an ordinance, and there's so much up in the air.
there's so many
Yeah,
unknowns,
there's,
there's so many things.
so
many-
it's like, is 233 even gonna stand the court test? We don't know that. I mean,
Right.
it may be a non-issue, but as it stands right now, it is. So,
It seems, Sharon, having it, we need to have like the best, we need to do something. Having an overlay district, I think is better than not having an overlay district.
Right.
We don't know how things are gonna shake out.
Exactly.
with-
Like you said, the state can do what they want to do, but I think having those things in place.
do we have other areas in the township that are 1,800 acres that are open?
I mean, there are large tracts of farmland along Oak Grove at the north end. For the most part, those are the only ones, the big areas that have that.
They would be that big?
There's a lot of land up there. Yeah, I don't know if it's 1,800,
What
but
about
it's close.
proximity to?
Well, that's where they're not that close to big transmission lines, so I'm not saying that, a Ranger Power or DTE or whatever, it wouldn't be worthwhile, it's just that it would be more of a run to get the lines to the big.
Considerable extra construction.
I don't think we're the low-hanging fruit in the solar.
Oh, no, we're not.
Yeah.
The ones west of us, just west of us are.
Yeah.
I mean, there's even talk Marion Township, just south of Mason Road too, so. And I did hear something, there was a solar lease in our township, but I don't know how true that is. And that maybe Mr. Mills could shed some light on.
Me too.
Yeah, that'd be,
I mean, we're not, I don't see us in a big hurry, maybe we should, there was changes that you did make. And I think one was the sound, and the other one was the question you had with the coverage, right?
And I'm satisfied
Do you guys want the overlay district added back in with language?
I don't think we've ever seen it, have we? I don't recall.
Not in the time that I've been
Okay.
working with it. I've seen the map, but I don't think it's ever been incorporated
It's worth
in.
looking at.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the concern should be in our ordinance, because otherwise we're saying,
right.
you can put solar,
Yeah, but
you can
the-
apply for it, but it's permissible anywhere.
The way it's coming in is we're gonna review it regardless.
Right.
If, you know, wherever it's gonna be, and if they don't like our answer, they can always go to the state as it stands right now.
Right.
So, even with the overlay, just with IASCO, the county planning saying no, who knows, I mean, the ball's in DTE's court now, is there gonna be a lawsuit now, I don't know. What else do you need, Grayson?
That's all I need.
Is there anything else with the solar that, I mean, that changes Grayson made, or?
I don't think so, I think we touched on the sound and the, screening.
One thing, Grayson, I saw here, just, does our zoning need to accommodate for the scaling of the facilities? They had, different like classifications on sizes. Here, I mean, would we differentiate between megawatts generated or different sizes of them? I can't find it, but.
Isn't that what they're calling nameplate?
Yeah, the nameplate capacity is what we.
Yeah, or is that, would that be subject to any proposed project based upon the amount of land they had and all that? I mean, so is that not necessary?
I think it's built in here already in a way
Okay,
that
so
you're
someone-
describing.
Someone's doing 3 megawatts or 15, they're still gonna have to meet our ordinance for whatever they're doing.
Yes, and then there's separate for accessory.
Okay.
Right, yeah, it's, then you got ordinances that say you can just have 100% coverage with each solar panel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were, and something I hadn't thought about, you know, a lot of people think, you know, their solar panels would just sit there, how can they make noise? But the inverters and all the things that go on create noise.
You're gonna get at least
Yeah.
how pervasive that one is, on the panels, isn't it?
And that, I think there's a lot of good information in the pamphlet that was passed out there that talks about different methods, you know, to make them, to decommission them, you know, using augers instead of concrete foundations and things like that, so.
Has anyone heard of any wind wheels being located here? I don't think we're in a good spot.
My understanding is that we're not in a good
Okay.
spot.
And those are,
That's
I,
okay.
I wouldn't wanna live next, I wouldn't mind having a solar farm next to me, but.
You drive north on 127.
Oh, yeah.
I do it all the time, and I mean, it's so funny because my grandkids, they live in Kalkaska, and they say they're downstate as soon as they hit the wind farm, the windmills. As soon as they see the windmills, oh, we're downstate.
Yeah, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, but, and a lot of people, you know, they're not fans of it. But I don't pretend to know much about, you know, how that's regulated and.
I have a coworker who lives in Rosebush, but he was working in Mount Pleasant. He's on 3 acres, we're kind of, how big was that? Huge field. And guess what's going in the huge field? A windmill? Really? Wow. Yeah, he's disappointed by it. He's like, oh, should I sell my place? You know, you're probably gonna get hit on a selling price. But, he's been to some meetings, and he's, you know, they talk about noise
Yes, I mean, I can ask him and see if he's willing to do, still willing to do it and come in and, answer questions if we have any.
We can have a back and forth
Sure.
versus call the public.
Do we want Grayson to incorporate this, the overlay district?
No, I think that's really in our best interest.
Yeah. I mean, we can at least take a look at it and.
Yeah.
And if Mr. Mills is willing, will you let me know so I don't botch like I did before and not put his name on there as a guest speaker?
What's that?
So we're doing, this will be, it won't be the August 12th, it will be the
It would
next
be
one,
the,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
when
a
we
regular
special
one.
meeting, it'd be
Yeah.
the regular. Unless he wants to donate to the cause of the special. Okay, well, I think, we made some progress on solar. Our next item, if we're done, our next item is our call to our vacant public. And there we go, takers. We are ready for adjournment.
Mr. Chairman,
Sure.
I would like to, excuse Commissioner Stanley from today's meeting.
Oh, so noted, he did, send notification he was gonna be unable to attend. So, Lance Addison's is excused. Thank you for the moment.
Do we need to make any kind of motion on that?
I'm moving to.
No, for,
excuse-
I prefer to, then I'll second that.
Is there any way you could excuse mine, formally excuse mine last month? You're
Perpetual.
You're back-
perpetual
backdated.
abstinence, yeah. No, I'm doing that because he did notify, and so if we're not at a meeting and we notify Jonathan.
Yeah, we probably should.
Well, I have notified.
Yeah, and, yes.
Those
He did.
two meetings
Yeah,
I
he
missed, I
did.
missed one in last September when I was in Alaska, and then last month's meeting, and I missed a special meeting, but I haven't missed.
And the reason I was talking with Wayne, the reason is our bylaws have.
It's clear.
It's clear. We are formally excusing a member from a meeting, so it's not, it doesn't, it's not getting counted against them, and then it's on the record that you acknowledged, because
Right.
people are thinking, well, so-and-so wasn't at the meeting, they're just not showing up at the meeting,
Right.
so.
Good clarification, Rob.
We did that in the city hall, we always excuse people that weren't at the meeting, that said to, the chairperson or the planning person, I'm not gonna be there.
Gave notice.
Right.
As it's on the record, it's accountable,
Yes.
and, it's trackable by the roll call.
Right.
It's a,
Yeah, but it's saying that we're excusing
Somebody
that
notified
from
us.
this meeting.
Right.
So we
He
knew
didn't
what-
just not show up. He
Yes.
said, I'm not
He
going
was
to be
responsible.
here.
We still have a quorum, we can still conduct business.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just suggested we should have a motion on the renewable energy ordinance discussion decision.
Mean to
I'm
table
going
it?
to
To
make a
table it?
motion to postpone action on the proposed text amendment so that the following items can be addressed. Invite John Mills to speak and allow Grayson to make any changes or additions that were discussed at the July 22nd, 2025 Planning Commission meeting.
I second. Oh,
Let
let me do it, for heaven's sakes, one time.
Sharon,
Let her do it.
Sharon's got the second.
Sharon's got it.
A
Put her down.
beautiful motion.
Very good.
Well said. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
I think that my motion still open.
We never voted on, I seconded it.
Okay, motion from Robert to excuse
Matt.
Mr. Staley from, Mr. Stanley?
Stanley.
From his absence tonight. Second from Mike. All in favor?
Aye.
Now we're on number 14, am I right? Okay, we have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.